Hey guys, Fantasy Super Rugby Round 4 is coming up this weekend. The team sheets are out. I have poured over them to find what I think are going to be the best players to pick for Fantasy Super Rugby this round. In this video, I'll share them with you. Before that though, let's take a quick look at the fixtures. And this week, just like the last, I'm really liking the look of these first three matchups, 4 points. Not so much liking the look of the last two. But yeah, Chiefs, Hurricanes, Highlanders, I'm really big on this week. Chiefs against Moana. Honestly, I've been unimpressed with Moana for the last couple of rounds. They've looked pretty dire ever since that big victory in round 1 in Lautoka. The Chiefs, on the other hand, going down to the Crusaders at home last week in Wellington with a dominant second half showing from the Crusaders. They're going to want to bounce back from that one. Moana, I think they're kind of down and out. I think they're kind of staring down the barrel of being potentially wooden spooners or thereabouts. They do have Augie Pulu back this week. That's a boon for them. But for the Chiefs, the big news is that the king of fantasy himself, Damian McKenzie, he is back this week starting at 10. And yeah, look, this guy is basically the MVP of fantasy last week. He is someone who cannot be ignored, so we'll be talking about him a bit later. After that, though, we've got the Waratahs versus the Hurricanes in Sydney. Really like this matchup for fantasy. Think there could be quite a high-scoring fixture here. It was last year when the Hurricanes played the Tars, although that was in Wellington. Hurricanes coming away with a big win. A lot of points were scored though, and yeah, I think it's going to be the same this time as round as well. I'm a real big fan of Hurricanes in the fantasies, just the way they play. They like to go wide. They're very expansive, but I think this will be pretty positive from both teams. Waratahs have Callaway back this week at fullback. That's a boon for them. Canes have Pasilio Tossi and Duplessis Karifi, their leader. So yeah, definitely liking the look of Hurricanes picks this week, but also wouldn't mind a couple of Waratahs too. Then we have Highlanders versus the Force on Saturday underneath the covers. Conditions for all three of these first 3 games look quite good, by the way. Don't have to worry about any rain this week. And yeah, look, Highlanders, they looked pretty poor against the Reds last week, to be honest. The Reds really made them look bad, but they'll be looking to bounce back from that this week. And the Western Force, I mean, yeah, they really put Moana away last week, but honestly, I think the Highlanders, they are opposition on a different level. They're going to have back this week Angus Ta'avao, and if you didn't hear the tragic news, his son died a couple of weeks ago, so I think this game's going to be quite emotional for the Highlanders. I think they really want to put in a big performance and get a win, and yeah, just try and you know, bring that positive emotion for him. So yeah, I'm a big fan of picking Highlanders this week, picking their players, and of course it's always dry in Dunedin, so yeah, really like this matchup a lot. Then we have Blues versus Crusaders Saturday night in Eden Park. Looks like it's not going to be wet for this game at least, so that's nice. And yeah, this game, I think this could be a bit of an arm wrestle. I'm not sure which way it's going to go. It's probably going to be close. I do kind of suspect the Crusaders might pull away in the last 10. The Blues have given up a couple of tight games in the last 10 this season already, and yeah, just looking at those front row benches, I think the Crusaders is looking a bit stronger than the Blues. I wouldn't be surprised if that makes a difference in the end with you know, the Crusaders set piece is really able to get up at the back end. But look, we'll see, man. Like, yeah, this one's going to be a real battle. 2 teams with really good defenses, 2 teams with strong forwards. I don't think this one's going to be a try fiesta, so I'm just going to kind of stay away from it, just because I think we're easily going to be able to make probably better picks elsewhere. But otherwise, yeah, I mean, I have said that's a lot about Crusaders matchups this year already. I thought they would be, you know, kind of arm wrestled against the Brumbies as well, but that hasn't really turned out to be the case. Same with the Chiefs as well. I thought that might be an arm wrestle, but no, the Crusaders put a lot of points on. So Yeah, even though I keep speculating about these arm wrestle games with the Crusaders and them, they've been playing a very open style, very positive style, lots of attacks. So potentially that could happen in this game as well. But yeah, I think I'm still gonna hedge my bets and kind of steer clear of this one for the most part. And then finally we have Brumbies versus the Reds, last game on Saturday night. This is in Canberra. Keep an eye on the weather if you pick players from this game. I think at the moment thunderstorms are forecast for the evening in Canberra, so might be one to keep an eye on. But yeah, again, like I'm just not sure with this matchup, man. I think this is going to be a battle. I think the Brumbies obviously have the advantage at home. They've looked pretty good in their they've had tough battles in their last few games and have come out on top. So Reds, I mean, they're a little bit less battle hardened. They've had that bye, haven't really come across super tough opposition yet. Well, yeah, maybe not compared to the Brumbies. So yeah, will be interesting to see what happens with this one. Don't think it's going to be a try fiesta either, but yeah, don't think it's a terrible game to draw players from, but yeah, I still prefer these first three matchups. Now, if we jump right into the players, starting with the outside backs, these are our big guns. This is where big points can be scored, and yeah, this week I'm really kind of liking those Chiefs backs, those Hurricanes backs, those Highlanders outside backs. So that means guys like Leroy Carter, Nadawa, Landers. I mean, all three of them. You could go for any of those three. Pinianganofo as well, left wing for the Hurricanes. And man, look, guys like Jorgensen wouldn't count him out either, right? Like, yeah, I would not turn my nose up at a pick like that at all. I've gone with Pinianganofo, Caleb Tangitau, and Leroy Carter. Leroy Carter is probably the one I like the most because, yeah, I really do think the Chiefs will be able to break Moana and put them to the sword. And the thing I like about Leroy Carter, he's a sort of guy that he's on the wing, but he likes to get himself involved. He's got that sort of sevens, heads up sort of mentality, right? He's always looking for opportunities. He doesn't just sit out on the wing and wait for the ball. But honestly, you could go for Nadawa here as well. I would not complain about that. You might even want to go for both of them too if you really like them. I've kind of spread my outside backs out a bit. I like to kind of diversify, hedge my bets. But yeah, I've gone with Tangitau as well. I like him for the same reasons as Carter, just those sort of sevens instincts, right? Guys that sort of come off the wing, go looking for the ball, looking for opportunities, have their heads on a swivel for, that heads up sort of play. But yeah, like Nareki and Radamaitavuki Neepkins, I mean, yeah, you could go for any of these guys. Didn't have a great score last week. None of the Highlanders outsides really did, but I mean, he's been solid in these first two rounds. He was solid last year as well. He's the sort of guy who he's probably less likely to get those massive scores like 80 or 100 points, but he's also not going to be a total bust either, right? Like end up on 30 points. He's always going to be solid around that 50 mark. So that's a choice you can make if you want to pick one from the Highlanders. I've gone with Tangitau, and look, Nareki, he's not a bad choice either, to be honest. He's got a low average so far this year, but last year he was very, very, very good. And he's a bit cheaper as well. So if you need to save a bit of money, you can go for that option. Beyond that, I also like the Hurricanes outside backs this week as well. We've got Pinianganofo, Harkin, and Morby. Remember, Callum Harkin, he actually plays at 10, and that does reduce your point scoring prospects in fantasy. You got less space to work with. You're less often on the end of tries. And look, Callum Harkin, as far as 10 goes, like the way he plays, he's he likes to attack with ball on the hand. He's more likely to get a good score than most 10s, but compared to your other back three options, he's probably not going to be your best choice. Your other option with the Canes, apart from Finian and Offo, who I obviously like a lot and I've selected, you have Morby as well, who will be at fullback. And I like Morby, but yeah, he doesn't seem to score at the same clip as Finian and Offo is able to. So yeah, that's why I've gone with Finian and Offo there. But like I said before, Max Jorgensen, I mean, this guy's a confirmed freak. Look at this, 2 scores of 73 points. Yeah, would not complain about that pick at all. He is coming up against the Hurricanes, pretty tough opposition, so he may not get as many opportunities, but yeah, definitely do not hate that pick at all. Otherwise, look, all those guys, they're my top picks, but if you do like some of these other matchups for points, like if you like Brumbies, Corey Toole, he's always been my favorite pick out of there, but Andy Muirhead, as you can see, not far behind him in terms of averages, right? Definitely no slouch this year. Looks quite good at fullback. If you want a piece of the Crusaders action, historically, Sevu Reece was very strong, a very strong pick last year. I still like him. Hasn't really fired this year, but I still probably prefer him above Fihaki, even though Fihaki has a slightly higher average. Narawa, he's all the way down here, only with a 22-point average, but I mean, look, I think he came off the bench in that Highlanders game, and yeah, 42 points, not too bad against the Crusaders. But yeah, I think this guy, he's probably a lot closer to Leroy Carter than this sort of average reflects. He was very good last year. Some other guys to be aware of, we've got Dalgunu back starting again. Andrew Callaway, he gets his first start of the season. He's playing fullback. He wasn't actually that good when playing from fullback that last year for fantasy. So yeah, wouldn't get too excited about that one. Coombs Fabling, he's also going to be starting at fullback for the Chiefs as well. All those Chiefs back 3 are pretty live this week against Moana, so he wouldn't be a bad pick, but I would steer clear because I'm not sure what's going to happen with the D-Mac situation. Quite often last year we saw D-Mac switch to 15 later in the game when Josh Jacob would come on, and that might happen this game. That could mean that Coombs Fabling gets substituted, doesn't get the full 80 minutes. That's less opportunity to score points. So yeah, a little bit worried about making that pick, but I do prefer just picking the wings if you're liking the Chiefs this week. Pick both of them if you really want to. Now, moving on to the midfield, and midfield's kind of tricky this week, right? Like, the thing with the midfield, the Hurricanes have so many good options in the midfield. You got Jordie Barrett, you got Billy Proctor. Billy Proctor last year was easily like the best midfielder by far. He was just tearing it up every single game, getting points like an outside back, and so far he looks like he's just picking up where he left off. But I am a little bit worried this week picking Canes midfielders, because on the bench they have Johnny Robert. Johnny Robert, he's a midfielder who, I think he's mainly a 12, but very often he ends up playing 13 as well. And I'm just not sure who he is going to replace in the Hurricanes. I feel like the natural swap would be to bring him in for Proctor, because Robert's strength generally is ball in hand. I mean, he's kind of like an outside back, to be honest. He doesn't have that sort of triple threat that Geordie does, right? Like, he's not going to come out and do like a crossfield kick or like a big bridge pass or something like that. So yeah, I feel like Proctor might be the one that ends up getting substituted here, which kind of worries me, because otherwise, you know, Proctor's pretty much your best pick in the midfield most weeks. He's probably definitely going to be your best pick in the midfield this week. But yeah, that substitution chance worries me. Even if he does get substituted though, he probably will still do pretty well in this game, so wouldn't necessarily sweat it too much, but that's something to be aware of and something to think of. And the other option, of course, in the number 2 spot here as well is Quinn Tupaia. And yeah, he's just looked so good this year, man. Like every single game, he's been busy. He's carried well. He's been involved. He's been involved in try scoring. Like, yeah, his average kind of speaks for itself. He's in really good form at the moment, and I like that Chiefs matchup against Moana. So, yeah, he's definitely a lock for me. And the other midfielder I've gone with in my second slot is actually Balin Sullivan. Now, Balin Sullivan, the reason I've picked him is because even though he's a midfielder in fantasy, he's actually starting out on the wing. This is something that happened quite often with him last year. He would start out on the wing, and look, in fantasy, it's the outside backs. They get the most opportunity to score the tries, get the line breaks, and get the big points. So it's always worth paying attention to these guys. And yeah, Balin's one who really converted a lot last year, turned in some really big scores in the midfield. So I've gone with him. Again, though, quite a good chance that he could end up getting subbed. Because again, I spoke before about how Johnny Roberts on the bench for the Canes, but they also have Lucas Cashmore on the bench as well. Lucas Cashmore, he is a 10. If he comes on, he's gonna replace Callum Harkin, but I'm just wondering, is Callum Harkin gonna go off, or is he maybe gonna move to fullback, and then Morby moves from fullback out to Balin's wing, and then Balin ends up getting substituted? I think there is a very real chance of that happening. I think last week, though, I think Harkin just got straight subbed for Cashmore right at the end of the game, and that was that. But yeah, still a little bit concerned about that. I kind of picked him anyway because I'm thinking, look, if it happens, he's probably still going to have had a pretty good amount of time to, you know, score some points, get some tries, get a piece of the action. So yeah, I still kind of like it from that perspective, but at the same time, it's like, you know, if you have Tupaia, maybe you just want to go for Proctor instead of Balin, right? Like that might be a safer and better bet. So one thing to keep in mind, though, I mean, Billy Proctor, he does cost 11.1 million, or Balin costs 5.3, and this week, I'll be honest, like I did come up against some budgetary constraints this week, not by a lot. I was able to sort of still complete my team by making sort of a few cuts in the props and the locks, which don't affect me that much. But yeah, that's something to be aware of, right? This is a place where potentially you could save a bit of cash and still end up doing all right. And look, outside of those options, I mean, Tupaia and these Hurricanes midfielders, I mean, I should say Barrett. I think Barrett's not a bad option at all either, right? Like, you don't want to worry about these substitutes or whatever, you could go for Barrett. Although, honestly, maybe he gets subbed for Robber as well. I'm really not actually sure what's going to happen there. But the other options, I mean, you got Pritchard. Got a really low score last week, but I don't know, did he get injured or something? I'm not sure what happened to him last week. I don't know why he's got such a low score, but yeah, I was saying last week, like, I want to see a third good score from this guy before I'm sold on him being the real deal. I just don't know enough about him, but he is starting again this week. Tough matchup against the Reds. I think that's reason alone to maybe look at your other options. Tavatava Nawai, I mean, Tavatava Nawai was so good last year. It was super solid, average like 40, 45. This year, nowhere near as good, man. He's been averaging like 35 points, 34 points. And the last couple of games, he's actually been getting subbed off when Tanielu Talia comes on. And yeah, I think that's kind of made the difference, right? That's kind of that bit of time he's losing at the back end of games. It's yeah, just costing them those few extra points. So yeah, I've pretty much gone cold on Tavatava Nawai now as a pick. There's no more sort of picks in here that really excite me a lot, to be honest, but there's still plenty of solid ones. Again, like, if you like the Crusaders this week against the Blues, Haveli Whanganuku, Haveli's been super solid. He was pretty solid last year as well. Like, he was really sort of top flight, top scorer, but he was sort of just below that level. Whanganuku, honestly, I was really excited when I heard Whanganuku was coming back, and I thought he would be a great pick for fantasy just because he's one of those big ball carriers who can bust tackles and get offloads, and he can play on the wing sometimes as well. But so far, yeah, hasn't really turned in a massive score yet. 43 against the Brumbies, which was good, especially considering was off the bench, but not so much outside of that. So still waiting for him to deliver. But other than that, not a lot going on. Suoli'i, as long as he keeps starting in the midfield, I don't think I'm going to pick him again this year. So hopefully at some point they decide to move him to fullback. Now moving on to the 10s. Got to talk about the elephant in the room, man. Damian McKenzie, he is back. He is getting his first start of the year in the 10 jersey. And like I said at the start, D-Mac last year, if he didn't play fantasy, he was basically the MVP, right? He was worth $1 million. As you can see, he starts this year at a cost of 12 million, which is ridiculous. He's going to need to score like at least 60 points to not lose money for you. But yeah, I mean, he's pretty much worth it, right? He was last year. He spent a lot of time playing at fullback, which I think is part of why he was so good in fantasy. It felt like he would generate a lot more points at fullback than he would at 10. But even when he started at 10, quite often he would shift to fullback later in the game and sort of make up the points there. And yeah, he was just the best option for the 10 slot last year, pretty much all the time. He probably will be this year as well. This week, the Chiefs have a great matchup against Moana where potentially he could just go completely crazy. The only reason not to pick him this week in the slot, I think, is because a couple of unknowns, right? Like, we don't know what his form's like. Is he going to be rusty? Is he going to come out and just drop the ball? And 2, is he going to stay on for the full 80, or is he going to get replaced by Josh Jacobs? Or, like I said at the start, will he actually move to fullback when Josh Jacobs comes on? Will he replace Coombs Fabling? I suspect that will happen, but I'm not 100% sure, to be honest. And you just need to be aware of the risk, because there's a big chunk of change here, and yeah, it's kind of a big call to not go with them. Next cabs off the rank, though, if you don't want to go for D-Mac, not a lot going on, to be honest. I mean, Ben Donaldson, he's got the highest average, 42 points, and yeah, he's just been Mr. Solid, right? Like, he was pretty solid last year as well. I like Ben Donaldson a lot, and yeah, he's kind of just picking up where he left off. And don't love this Highlanders matchup for the Force, but it could be a tougher matchup as well. So at least it's going to be in the dry. So yeah, Ben Donaldson, here's my number 2 pick. Probably the last one to sort of be aware of is Taha Kemera. He's starting at 15 this week, which, being in the outside backs, you do get a bit more exposure to those juicy attacking stats like tries scored, like line breaks. Wouldn't get super excited about this one. I think that's going to be a tough match. I don't know if the Crusaders are going to be tearing the Blues to shreds from the counterattack necessarily, but one for you to be aware of. And probably another one as well is Cam Miller. Not really a guy I rate generally, but yeah, coming up against the Force, maybe he could actually do something this week. And actually, one more thing to be aware of, Beauden Barrett's on the bench for the Blues, so he'll get a little bit of game time this week. I wouldn't pick him, but yeah, he's a guy who's probably going to be back in the mix going forward from next week as well, so be aware of that. Now, moving on to the 9s, I think the number 1 big choice is Cam Roigard, and I kind of said this every week, and he's yet to put on a decent score, just this 19 in his 20, which is not very exciting at all, especially for a guy that cost 9 mil at the start of the season. But yeah, I like him a lot this week. I like that matchup against the Waratahs. Conditions look good. I mean, look, conditions against the Drua were terrible. Like, gotta forgive him for that one, to be honest. That was very difficult to play attacking rugby in. And against Moana, I mean, he came off the bench. So, yeah, still feeling good about Roigard, even if he hasn't delivered yet. Next cabs off the rank. I mean, look, Noah Hotham's been tearing it up. 48-point average for a halfback is crazy. He had these 2 big scores, and I mean, even that 36 against the Brumbies was not bad at all. So he's in good shape. And I mean, to be honest, this guy has kind of always been my number 2 halfback after Roigard anyway. So yeah, can't go wrong with him. Don't love that matchup against the Blues, but I mean, yeah, it still will be a strong pick, I think. But another one that's in the mix as well, I think, will be Cortez Rautama. Yeah, just I like that matchup against Moana Pacifica, man. I think they could be scoring a lot of tries there. I think they could be tearing through them, and if they are, Cortez Rautama, he's a guy who could benefit from that. And I'll give a little shout out to Fakatava as well. I mean, yeah, I always thought Fakatava would do better in fantasy, to be honest, the way he plays. You know, he does like to have a little snipe every now and then, but it never really came off last year for fantasy. It hasn't come off so far this year for fantasy, but hey, if you're a Fakatava fan, now's probably not a bad time. Now, moving on to the loose forwards. This is a big category, always a lot of options. I'm not doing anything fancy this week. I've gone Charlie Cale, Fraser McWright. Those are probably the top 2 picks. Their highest averages, and yeah, in general, like, I mean, look, Charlie Cale, I talked a lot about this guy before the season, man. I said he was going to be good. He was good last year until he got injured, but he was good the year before that as well. And yeah, like, I picked him round 1. He was the top scoring player for the round, got this huge haul, 113 points. But then the next 2 rounds I faded him because I was thinking, look, Brumbies Crusaders, Brumbies Blues, those are tough matchups, man. You're not just going to run through them and score tries. But what did he do? Like, he scored 3 tries across those 2 games, man. So, like, yeah, never should have doubted him. Apparently, Charlie Cale, like, he is a must pick in the back row. He is in some form at the moment, and don't want to risk missing out on that, man. He's just scoring way too many points. An average of 80 is just completely insane. And Fraser McWright, look, average of 54, second highest average, 61 against the Highlanders, 47 against the Tars, 2 good scores. And look, McWright's always been good. He's a great player. He's always been good in fantasy. He was good last year. He's super solid, and the reason I like him a lot as a pick is that he's good on both sides of the ball. Like, if the Reds are starved of ball, if they're on the defense, he'll make tackles, he'll get turnovers. And look, if the Reds are doing well, if they're on the attack, then McWright is there, you know, in the open play. He can carry, he can do it all. So even if you don't know how a game is going to go, even if it's going to be a tight game, which the one against the Brumbies probably will, he's still a guy who can do very well. Always feel good picking McWright, and yeah, that's why I've got him this week. And my last pick is Lasanga, although not necessarily a top pick. This is one I've gone for to save a bit of cash because he's only 4.5 mil. But and look, I mean, I like this guy. He's good at running play. And with that matchup against the Force and the Dry at home in Dunedin, I think he will potentially go really well. He is probably going to get subbed for Sean Withy though. That's why I don't really rate him as a top pick. But yeah, for a value pick, he's probably your best options. But if you're not trying to save a bit of cash, I mean, you've got plenty more good options here as well. I mean, look, Charlie Gamble, wouldn't hesitate picking him in this matchup. He's had 2 good scores already, and yeah, only 5.1 million, a great pick. Although the pick I really wanted this week was Braden Iose. Like, yeah, I really like him in those games where the Hurricanes are going to have their way on attack. But this week, unfortunately, he is going to be on the bench. But I mean, he could be a great pick even though he's on the bench. I wouldn't be surprised if he comes on in the last 20 or 30 and just carves up, but that does carry a bit of risk with it. I do like the other Hurricanes back rowers though. You've got Peter Lakai and also Duplessis Karifi getting his first start of the season or first game of the season. I wouldn't pick Karifi though because I'm just thinking first game of the season, probably not going to do a full 80, right? He's probably going to be subbed. And the Hurricanes bench, it's kind of weird. They've got both Brad Shields and Braden Yose on the bench, and I think Brad Shields, he's going to come on and replace Devin Flanders. And then I suspect what will happen is that Braden Yose replaces Karifi, and then Lakai, he's starting at 8 this game. Lakai moved to 7 and Yose will play at 8. So if you do want a Canes back row, if you don't want to risk it picking Yose on the bench, Peter Lakai, he's there. Hasn't put on any amazing score this week, although not terrible scores either. But yeah, he might go better in this game. Even though he only got 30 points in that destruction of Moana, he was kind of in the mix there, right? He was playing on the edge, so he was maybe a little bit unlucky not to get more exposure to some line breaks or something like that. And then he did get subbed, so yeah, I think Lakai is still a guy that could go quite well. Beyond that, I mean, Paulo Tizzano hasn't really been that strong this year. 46 against the Blues. He used to kind of go like 40 to 50 a game, but this year the Force haven't really been able to get their maul going, and that's where he got a lot of points last year. So yeah, he might continue to sort of slide a bit, but still a guy who averages 36, not too bad. Another guy to be aware of actually is Harry Wilson. Now, Harry Wilson, he played his first game last week, but because it was his first game back, he did get subbed. He didn't get a full 80. This week, he gets another start, but I kind of suspect he might get substituted as well because the Reds, they have that number 8 on the bench, Vaitu Latu. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Harry Wilson doesn't get a full 80 again. Be aware of that. Harry Wilson, he was very, very good last year. Very solid pick. Like he was better than McWright on average. So a lot of people might be eyeing him up this week, but yeah, be aware there's a good chance that he could still end up getting subbed because I don't think Latu has played 6, right? I don't think he's a 6. He might replace Bryle, but I've got a feeling he's going to end up replacing Wilson. And beyond that, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of options to go with, but I don't have strong feelings about that many of them. I mean, Leo Willie, he was huge last week against the Chiefs, got those 3 tries. I mean, it's kind of hard to imagine him doing that back-to-back, scoring 3 tries against the Blues again. But yeah, he's in good form, man. Although I do believe Xavier Saifaloy is on the bench for the Crusaders. Crusaders have a 6-2 this week, so it is quite possible that Leo Willie does end up getting substituted and doesn't get the full 80. Be aware of that. Dom Gardner's probably going to get subbed as well by Corey Callow. Blackadder probably stays on, but not a big fan of this guy as a fantasy pick. Tuputai Low and Whailangi, historically guys who I've liked a lot, but yeah, kind of, I've gone cold on Moana, man. I've gone cold on Moana. I've been burned. Samu and Ikoasi are 2 guys that I kind of like that I've talked about in the past, but yeah, they haven't really put out big scores this week. And Torian Barnes, he's another one to be aware of actually. He looked good against the Chiefs, but hasn't really done much of a full 80 yet. And I suspect the same thing's going to happen this week because they got Signer on the bench and Shay Clark on the bench. So yeah, I kind of feel like Signer's going to come on and replace Dalton, and Shay Clark, he could replace Barnes, or potentially he could replace Satutu, and then Barnes goes to 8. So Yeah, Barnes, he might still be a good value pick if you need someone dirt cheap, only 3.9 million. But yeah, tough matchup, man. Like, tough matchup against the Crusaders. Now, moving on to the locks. And yeah, look, Tupavai, man, he did it again. 40 points, another try against the Crusaders. Like, yeah, he's kind of cementing himself as that clear top fantasy lock. I think the only week I picked him was against the Highlanders, where he got a pretty average lock score, but now, like, he's just proven he can do it more often than not, at least so far. So yeah, he's getting kind of expensive for a lock though, 6.3 million. But if you got the cash to spare, and if you haven't used up all your Chiefs elsewhere, then yeah, he's a great pick if you can spare the cash. Warner Durns, now he's had one great score, one bad score, but I mean, look, that draw game, the conditions are so bad, and the Hurricanes were so unprepared for those conditions. I'm just gonna kind of write it off from a fantasy perspective. One thing I like about Durns actually is that, apart from getting all these great attacking stats against Moana, which, you know, I think you'll have opportunity to do that again against the Tars. Pretty sure both Durns and Wakaleawere, I think they're both going to play the full 80 because, yeah, Canes, they have Brad Shields and Yossi on the bench. They got those two back rows on the bench instead of a lock, right? And, you know, unless like Brad Shields goes to lock, I mean, he's not that tall, to be honest. I don't think he can play lock. So, yeah, I'm pretty sure Durns and Wakaleawere are going to be a full 80, which is kind of what I want out of a lock, right? When I'm picking them in fantasy, because, you know, they're not big scorers anyway, but just having them on for the full 80 to sort of get those passive points from your lineouts and your tackles and whatever else, yeah, that really makes me like the Durns pick. And look, it's the same situation this week as well for the Blues. Like, Josh Berry and Sam Darry. Yeah, because the Blues have Segner and Shea Clark on the bench. Yeah, I think Berry and Darry probably going to end up doing the full 80. And you know, Berry, he was a good last year as well, right? So yeah, this guy's kind of underrated, but he's a good fantasy pick for the lock slot, always has been. And I've gone for Sam Darry just because he's a bit cheaper, only 3.8 million, and I did need to kind of save a little bit of money here and there to complete my team this week. So that's the only reason I've gone with Darry. But look, otherwise nothing else too exciting in the lock. You can kind of just pick whoever you like. I mean, Matt Phillips, always liked Matt Phillips. These Brumbies guys, Lockie Shaw, he's been good. Kind of suspect he might be the one that gets subbed this week, just, you know, as a rotation thing. He didn't get subbed last week, but that's what makes me think he might be the one that gets subbed this week. Darcy Swain and Jeremy Williams. Jeremy Williams back in the locking slot. Darcy Swain, he was pretty big in that last game. He was very strong last year as well. So yeah, much of a muchness really. Pick who you like, but those are the ones I like. Now moving on to hooker, very important position and bit of a two-horse race here for me. You've got Taukei'aho. He's just been dominating this slot in fantasy so far, scoring tries in every single game. And yeah, you cannot go wrong with Taukei'aho, man. I think he is the best pick this week as well. So if you can afford him, and if you haven't used up your 4 Chiefs elsewhere, then yeah, get Taukei'aho. He's the guy. The next guy, though, he's the second on the highest average scorer, and that's Jack Taylor. And man, this guy's kind of impressed me this year. Like, every single game, pretty good score. Very good score last week against the Reds without even scoring a try. And that's kind of the most impressive thing about all his scores. It hasn't been padded out by tries. It's just solid stuff. I mean, there was this 50-22, which, you know, I don't know if he's going to get another one of those this season, but yeah, just look at where he's scoring all these stats though. Like, he's just got a bit of everything, right? So yeah, feeling pretty good about Jack Taylor in a great matchup as well against the Force. And yeah, you're probably going to have slots left over to pick behind his players. So yeah, he's the second one to go for in what I think is a 2-horse race. Maybe the last one I'll point out is Cody Taylor, just because I feel like he might end up getting a lot of game time. George Bell got injured last week, so after Cody Taylor, they've just got like a third stringer, and yeah, in a tough game, like you want to leave a guy like Cody on rather than bringing on someone completely green. So yeah, that could be a reason to pick Cody. He could have a good week this week, just because I feel like he'll get extra game time. Same thing kind of goes for Kurt Eklund as well. Yeah, with Bradley Slater injured, I mean, they probably don't want to drop to their third string hooker, but I'll probably take Cody above Eklund. And look, Almoa, he's a guy I liked in the past, but never really fired in fantasy. Didn't really fire last year either. So, and yeah, look, Santa River, he probably is the third best hooker, right? Like, he's third best in terms of the average leaderboard, but yeah, just kind of the way he's looked, he's kind of the third best as well. And then lastly, we have the props. I have gone for Ruben O'Neill and Angus Ta'avao. Only reason I made these picks is, you know, just because this is where I've chosen to save a bit of money and go for cheaper picks. And you know, I had a Chiefs slot free. Why not get a Chiefs player? And yeah, only 2.5 million, rock bottom price. He only needs to score like 15 for his value to go up and earn me some money. And against Moana, you never know, he might get something going. And picked Angus as well because look, I wanna cheer for Angus, and you know, he's kind of one I could afford as well. So yeah, that's the only logic I've got there. But as for props, I really like this week. I kind of like De Groot, right? De Groot's always been kind of a guy who's solid, like doesn't get tries or whatever, but it's kind of solid otherwise. These two Brumbies guys have proved to be quite solid as well, even though yeah, Slipper didn't even get credited with much last week, and same with Van Nick, but otherwise they've been pretty solid. Rennet is one I've picked a few times now, and look, he was solid last year and he's been solid again this year. So yeah, I've kind of talked about how I like that guy. Don't so much like him this week against the Crusaders. I mean, that's a real tough matchup, but and yeah, Pasileo Tossi's back this week. That's something to be aware of. Not really an exciting fantasy option, to be honest. He wasn't particularly exciting last year, but one to be aware of. And yeah, Numir, I've talked about Numir as before. Like, he used to be quite an exciting player. Like, he was a guy who could bust tackles and go on runs, but just hasn't happened the last couple of years, and I don't expect it to start happening now, to be honest. But otherwise, look, any choice you go with here, it's up to you. It's props. There's not much to be said about it, to be honest. These guys who sort of top the averages, you're not going to go wrong with them. Now, quick note about captains. I've got Leroy Carter selected at the moment, and he's probably the one I feel the best about it. But yeah, I mean, you could go for any of this back three. And then, of course, there is D-Mac as well. And look, D-Mac, last year, he was quite often the best captain's choice to make. And like I said, he was pretty much the MVP last year. So yeah, I mean, he kind of should be on paper the captain this week as well. But like I said, there's two things to be uncertain about. Is he going to get subbed, and is he going to be rusty? Is he going to switch to fullback at some point during the game and really cash in? Not 100% sure, to be honest. Not 100% sure. So yeah, you're going to have to think about that yourself and make a decision. And if you think he's going to stay on, you can make him the captain. I mean, look, he might still tear it up anyway, even if he does get subbed. But is he going to be rusty? I don't know. So yeah, you can make a call on that. And look, if you think he's not going to be rusty, if you think he's going to stay on, he's definitely the best choice for captain, especially if he switches to fullback. Otherwise, I'm just going to stick with Carter. I like Carter a lot, but these other two guys, Tangi Tau, Finiang and Ofo, like whoever you're picking in your outside backs, probably are going to be good options as well. And if you want something more reliable, I mean, look, if you've got Taukiaho, like, he's probably going to go good against Moana, right? Like, I can imagine the Chiefs beating Moana up at Maul and he runs in like 3 tries, but the only thing I'd worry about is that they get out to too big a lead and he gets subbed early or something like that. So, yeah, a lot of good options for captains this week. And that also means with the boosters, you're going to have good options as well because, you know, triple captain, I think quite a lot of people used triple captain on DMAC last week in easier matchups. Wouldn't be surprised if that happens for me this year, but look, I just kind of want to wait and see and see what sort of shape DMAC is in before I do that. Make sure he's going to stay on the field as well. It's also a good week for co-captains, right? Because we have so many good options for captain, that means co-captain, it's a good time to use it, right? And harder to find a good time to use co-captain than the triple captain because you need to find 2 players who are going to go gangbusters rather than 1. But yeah, if you did co-captains, you could do DMAC and Carter and Tangitao, you know, lots of combinations like that, or even make Taukiaho your co-captain as well if you want to make sure that you don't waste it, something like that. But yeah, boosters are definitely in play this week if you're eager to use them. Anyway, guys, that'll do it from me. Hope you found this useful. Let me know in the comments if I've missed anything, if there's any players you think I should have talked about. Otherwise, enjoy the rest of your week. Don't forget to check the weather before the games, and I'll catch you in the next one. See you later.